back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
So, guys, I don't know, we've said it a couple times, but we don't always do these episodes week to week. Sometimes we like to bank stuff, especially if we know we got stuff going on. Last week was our monthly Batman movie breakdown, which was great because I was on the road all week and we weren't going to have time to record anything anyway. And also, we both just have lives, and so occasionally stuff gets missed. So we're doing a little catch up on just some things that have gone down in the last few weeks that we've maybe not had a chance to comment on, that we want to go over. Not to mention the fact that Shazam! Fury of the Gods is finally on HBO Max. That's what I'm calling it. I don't care what they change the name of the app to. It's stupid. I'm just going to call it HBO Max. But anyway, so Matt was finally able to see it, so we can actually sit down and talk about it. Before we get into all that, because it's been a bit since we've talked. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm hyped for some upcoming films. Like, it's been a while since I've been excited about movies coming out. So for the first time in probably almost a year, I'm like, dude, I think I have something to watch nearly every weekend for the rest of the month.
Yeah,
so
it's good stuff. We're getting into the summer, and we already knew this was going to be a packed year, movie wise. So yeah, good stuff. A lot of stuff coming. Well, let's get some of this is kind of some negative stuff out of the way first, but not negative, but just not happy-go-lucky. A couple things from James Gunn's Twitter. So there were some rumors that were going on a couple weeks ago about actors who'd been auditioning for roles, particularly with Superman Legacy. And James Gunn basically came out and said two things. The first thing he said was, for everyone asking, I would never comment on who is or isn't auditioning for a role. That's the actor's business only, and isn't something I'd make public unless they did it first after the fact, like Glenn Howerton or Zachary Levi having auditioned for Star-Lord and being top choices. For now, only one person has been cast in Superman Legacy, and it isn't any of the regular players in the Superman world. And again, he keeps ending his tweets with a merman, male mermaid man emoji, which just has me thinking there's something going on with Aquaman, because Aquaman 2 is still set to come out in December of this year. We've seen nothing from it, and that makes me think that post-Flash, something's coming with Aquaman. But regardless, James Gunn is commenting on not commenting on audition rumors. A couple days later, he followed that up with, I'm getting barraged with bullshit DC rumors this morning. I'll just reiterate the general rule not to believe anything unless it comes from me or Peter. That's Peter Safran. But unless it's especially egregious, I'm going to slow down on calling shit out. Sorry, I know it's one of my favorite traditions. And then he goes on. He does a lot more commenting on why people are making up lies just to get attention from him and to get clicks. He doesn't want to encourage that. Yeah. He said, I've read 100 rumors this morning. One of them is half true, so I don't want to be used as a way for people to throw nonsense at the wall until something sticks. And number 3, I'm storyboarding Superman Legacy and don't have time. Have a great day. Again, little mermaid man emoji. Yeah. Which I love that the first thing somebody replied with is, you're storyboarding based on the first draft. And he was like, it's far from the first draft. What a dumb fucking comment to make. Sorry. But so I think what we're going to have happen is a slowing down of James Gunn's favorite pastime, which is calling out all the bullshit that comes out, because he's right. What's going to end up happening is people are just going to start throwing shit at the walls until something is accidentally correct.
Like, he's actually working now.
Yeah, he's busy. He's busy.
Well, because, look, Guardians was pretty much done. He wasn't really actively making anything per se. I mean, I know that they do a lot of post-production.
Well, there was a lot of pre-production going on while he was touring the world for Guardians promotions. He's been traveling all over Europe and Asia. And he said right before Guardians 3 came out, is the script is done. It's now in the hands of set and costuming and production design. I got to go promote this other thing.
Yeah. So yeah,
So
that's where I think like you also had that point of like, dude, I'm actively making a movie. Actively making a movie that he has to watch his step with because
yes,
can't do any story adjustments. The
see, I
last
don't.
I
I'm not sure about that because, as far as we know, he's the only one credited with writing on this. So, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure how James Gunn works into the WGA strike right now because he is a studio head. I'm not sure because this is out of my realm of understanding. I'm not sure how that plays out with him.
the my very limited understanding of it is he can have ideas, they can go forward with those ideas, but he can literally not put pen to paper because somebody has to be credited under the WGA for writing the script.
Okay.
It's and I say that more because again, I think I said it last time is like I remember I'm one of those guys who watch everything on DVDs. I love behind the scenes stuff.
Hell yeah.
And oh my gosh, his name escapes me. Michael Bay talked
Mhm.
about that the writer strike was going on while they were developing Transformers 2 and that they just
Yeah.
had to they couldn't stop. So all they did was everything possible before the writers before as the writer strike was going on. So they did all the designs, built all the sets, everybody's training, everything is in set. And then once the writer strike is over, they're like, here's the ideas, go do this. And then they move forward. Now that does explain why that script is horrible. But
But it also doesn't excuse the rest of the Transformers movies either.
hey, I will moderately defend 1 and 3. The rest of them are kind of out of my hands.
Well, the last 40 minutes of 3 are pretty good.
Yeah.
Everything outside of that is hot garbage.
Really weird. No, but I think so with that in mind is like he can come up with my understanding is he can come up with ideas. He just can't
Mhm.
put pen to paper. So at the same time, that's why a lot of companies like, hey, this writer strike is happening. Churn, 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 churn.
Mhm.
Once we have a finalized, quote unquote, finalized script, you can do everything else in the movie. You can
Well,
build the
that's why
sets, you
like
could do all that other stuff. He could storyboard it to death. He could do all
yeah.
those things. But when I don't think, if memory serves, I don't think you can roll cameras because you technically have to have a writer
Well,
involved while they're writing, while they're making a
so
movie.
this plays into the point I was going to bring up, which so the current rumor, again, I don't know how true this is, but is that with because I don't think there's any confirmation that Deadpool 3 has even begun filming yet. Um, I mean, that was only announced a few months ago. Oh my god, it was almost a year ago, wasn't it? Shit.
Mm-hmm,
Anyway,
mm-hmm.
um, the current rumor is that because of the strike, Ryan Reynolds is not allowed to do any improvising on the set of Deadpool 3, that it has to be adhere to the script as it is. I'm not sure how I can see that being true, but again, I also don't even think they've begun production on that yet. But that also brings up a point about the first Deadpool movie, kind of to your point, which was, people don't seem to remember Deadpool was having its budget continually slashed mid production.
Yeah,
Like they kept being told while they were shooting, "Hey, we're not going to give you the money. We're giving you less money now." To the point where they were no longer going to give Ryan Reynolds money to have the writers on set. So he ended up paying the writers out of his own pocket because he was like, "I need them here. I can't not have them here."
yeah,
Um, so kind of the point you made earlier about, yeah, you got to have the writers on set because you it's not until you start shooting something that you might realize, you know what, this doesn't actually work like I thought it did. We're gonna have to change how this is written. um but also with James Gunn, I have every confidence that like he would not have submitted this script for pre-production if he wasn't confident that they could roll with it as it is at the moment. Again, but like, yeah, like they can't actually start shooting this until this, especially because now SAG is in the process of voting to
correct,
strike in
correct.
support of the WGA. And if SAG goes on strike, Get ready for a lot more reality television, kids, because that's what happened last time.
Or AI becomes in use a lot more for actors.
At which point the strike will never end.
Yeah,
I hate everything to do with this AI shit on
it's
so many different levels. It's a mess. It's a nightmare. It creates too much gray area. It creates too many what ifs.
yeah,
And the fact that they would even be considering it as an option to me is disgusting.
yeah.
And that's my soapbox moment for today.
No, we'll get into AI a different day, but no, I think so.
That's a
This
whole
is
other
yeah.
yeah.
So I would say this is he has said he's not filming till January.
Yeah.
So you've got 6 months from now.
Yeah, we're recording this on June 1st.
Yeah. So you
So,
got 6 months from now for him to do whatever he needs to do. Like I said, you can do everything and just be ready to pull the trigger the moment the writer strike goes off.
yeah.
And but also to go to back a little bit back to the Ryan Reynolds thing, even if they're filming and they can't change anything, that doesn't all that sounds like to me is you've got a budget for pickup shots. Or
Yeah.
you do it all because look, you're not seeing his face, you do it all in voiceover. So
Yeah.
it's not an impossible thing, but you just have to tread lightly. And I think, like, yeah, James Gunn knows the deal. He knows how to make this work. He's gonna make sure this happens the way it needs to because, you know, do we have any more gun stuff? Because otherwise, I was gonna roll into.
Um well, I was going to say that it just I worry that we're edging close to a Superman Lives situation, which is all the because on one hand you look at it as cool, you've got all this time now while the strike's going on to get all your ducks in a row to go ahead and roll camera on day one. What I worry about is we get all this shit set up and then plug gets pulled.
Yeah,
Um, that's kind of the worst case scenario fear is that we get all this shit set up and then everything just goes south and it's like, okay, cool, now it's not happening. Um, because on the financial side of things, a lot of projects have been put on hold until the strike ends.
yeah,
That is a lot, and a lot of these things were already in mid production. It's a lot of money being spent with no opportunity for return on investment until the strike ends and you can resume production. So, to take it to a non movie scenario, that's what happened with Hostess in 2013. They had to declare bankruptcy because their workers were on strike and they were on strike so long they couldn't put anything in production and they couldn't make the money back. So they went bankrupt because they couldn't, you know, make their Twinkies to sell to make the money back to make more Twinkies.
yeah,
So that's especially if SAG does end up voting to strike in support of WGA, that's a potential now. We're like this has been going on long enough that and we're still not that far like COVID did a nasty bit of damage to the entertainment industry. Box office returns have not been what they were pre-COVID because everything's been getting fast tracked to streaming
yeah,
after going into theaters. Theater attendance has not been back up to what it used to be. So the entertainment industry in general is still hurting for money. So they're it's just it's man, we're got a domino effect going on here if we're not careful. It's been going on long enough. The strike's been going on long enough now that we're going to start to see some real damage. And I say that in full support of the WGA. I say that as we're going to see some real damage. So studio heads, get your studio heads out of your studio asses and pay your damn writers so we can stop this nonsense.
Well, and it goes to that whole thing of I don't know if you've ever looked into it, but how vague numbers are for streaming is ridiculous.
Mhm. Oh yeah, no, no, none of the streaming services ever want to release their numbers. And that's part of what is the strike is tied up in is uh streaming residuals. That
Yeah,
was a big part. of what the WGA was asking for was streaming residuals.
Yeah.
We want to know streaming numbers and we want to get paid based on streaming numbers. And it wasn't like the studios countered with, oh, how about this instead? They countered with no.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, look, this is why you get Scarlett Johansson mad about Black Widow.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
how you guys didn't go ahead, get ahead of this and go, oh yeah, she's going to be out a lot of money. We should probably
Yeah.
figure out a way. Because I mean, look, I don't know if it's because she was a woman, which I hope it wasn't, or if because this was the swan song of her character and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was like, how did you guys screw this girl over so bad?
Because it was because that was at that interim time when it was not Bob Iger but the other Bob in charge running stuff,
Yeah.
who is no longer in charge because he sucked.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, they were like, hey Bob, we're gonna go back to the other Bob because new Bob is kind of the worst Bob. But it was a massive misfire, and it's great that Scarlett Johansson was able to get that rectified. But you also got to think, this was them screwing over one of the most biggest names in Hollywood at this point.
Yeah.
Not one of their, apologies for the phrase, but not one of the lowly writers. So if they were willing to screw over Scarlett Johansson like that,
yeah,
imagine how much they'd be willing to screw over the writers who they have even less respect for.
Yeah, so that's where it's like, okay, but no, I think it just gets to that point of like, come on, guys, just something. Yeah, because trust me, like even
this does not have to be that complicated.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna go.
So, moving on from that, I got two pieces of Flash stuff I want to talk about.
Okay, let's go.
One of which is speculative, and one of which is me having a rage-induced moment.
Okay.
So I'm going to get the rage-induced moment out of the way first.
Let's go.
So that way it's done.
Sorry.
So, the director of The Flash, Andy Muschietti, can straight up, pardon my language, can straight up go fuck himself. He dropped this massive spoiler for The Flash in an interview with Esquire magazine. Massive spoiler. Massive cameo spoiler. Let me be specific here.
But you're not going to spoil it right now, right?
I am absolutely not going to say it out loud on this show.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Because I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm so fucking angry. Okay, here's why I'm so fucking angry. I had gone out of my way to avoid this spoiler at all costs. Because every shitty movie website, every shitty nerd website on the internet was running with this story. Some of which were putting the spoiler in the headline or in their article image. And I had been really good about avoiding this spoiler until last week. I was driving back from a gig in Kentucky and hit some nasty potholes, had to get some work done on my car. So I'm taking my car to the shop the next morning, and I'm in the lobby waiting in line to check in and leave my key with the lady at the desk. And Mix 107.7 in Dayton, Ohio, I'm calling you out directly, was the radio station playing. And the host and one of the hosts on the morning show just blurted out the spoiler. No warning. It wasn't like, hey guys, spoiler warning for this, here's they were just like, so in other news, spoiler. And I was like, you gotta be, I out loud in the lobby of the auto shop was like, you gotta be kidding me. I don't know what makes them think that is okay. And then a couple days later, comicbookresources.com, one of the worst hot take movie websites on the internet, straight up posts on Facebook, director reveals that and then includes the spoiler and puts a special made image up spoiling the spoiler. And I'm just like, is this what we've turned into? This is what we've turned into? Just fuck everybody? It's infuriating, and this shit needs to stop. So I'm just getting this off my chest because I have a public forum in which to do so. But Andy Muschietti, director of The Flash, you're a fucking idiot for spoiling that to begin with. And then to every outlet in the internet that has run with this story and spoiled this for people, equally go fuck yourself. Like, just go fuck yourselves all across the board. Okay. Anyway, The Flash is the Wrap, as well as other resources, are currently saying that The Flash is looking at a $75+ million box office projection for opening I think it's opening day or opening weekend. Opening weekend, I think. Yeah. Which we're saying is lower than they were hoping for. It's because it's considerably lower than the opening of Matt Reeves' The Batman, but it's also better than Black Adam's opening weekend and Shazam's opening weekend. Now, The Flash has been listed as being a very expensive movie. It's been delayed quite a bit, and it's also kind of the reset button crux that we're holding on to go ahead and get forward with the rest of what James Gunn wants to do with DC. A $75 million opening weekend does seem kind of like a low projection for. Now, I don't know how they figure out these projections, because you're not going to know until the actual fucking weekend how things are going to go. But that does seem a little low. Matt, what do you think about this?
I had a similar thought to somebody else who I was listening to, and this is like, look, any film that's been hugely successful is not their opening weekend. It's because people keep going back.
Yeah.
You know, something like Frozen or Greatest Showman, they didn't have a gigantic opening weekend. It's just that people kept going to see those movies
Yeah.
over and over and over again. So if your movie's really good and people love it and you get a good word of mouth, people are just going to keep seeing it. So I know the trend nowadays is like 100 million weekend. 100 million weekend means the movie's going to be successful.
Yeah.
So I just think like one, chill out about it, but number two, at the same time, like, when's DC truly had a successful film in the movie theaters?
It's been a bit.
I mean,
Been a
I
bit.
don't count any Batman property because duh, but
Yeah. If you can't turn a profit with a Batman movie, you goofed.
yeah, but I mean, you really think about, like, I mean, look at, you've got the obviously Shazam, Black Adam, total bombage, and justifiably so for multiple different reasons.
Yeah.
Before that, The Suicide Squad was the last film to come out.
For DC in
Yeah,
theaters. I mean, League of the Super Pets.
which was decently successful.
It was. It was a kids movie.
Yeah, which it was actually great. I really like that movie.
I haven't seen it.
Do what?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, it like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
I didn't mind. Hold on, I'm trying to see the DC
No, I'm
film
looking.
slate last 10 years. So yeah, I like looking at the past, I don't want to say 10 years because that goes all the way back to Man of Steel, which is insane that it's been 10 years. But really, honestly, their last quote unquote successful movie was Aquaman, which is in 2018. And I say that because there is an idiotic expectation that a successful movie for comic books breaks 1 billion. So you have Shazam, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 84, Zack Snyder's Justice League, which didn't even hit the theater, The Suicide Squad, Black Adam, and Shazam Fury of the Gods. None of those movies were gigantic financial hits for DC. Like, Shazam did well enough for them to do a sequel,
Well,
but Birds of
I know you're not a fan, but Joker was a massive hit.
I guess that's true. Yeah, Joker.
Joker was made on a Deadpool budget of 55 million, and it crossed the $1 billion mark and won 2 Oscars.
Yeah, but I'm going to put that under the Batman envelope of
That's fair, but if just for the sake of posterity, it's like that was a rated R movie that people were having trepidations about seeing because of what they thought it was going to be about, and it crossed it beat the Deadpool record. It crossed $1 billion until Deadpool 2 came out.
Yeah.
um and it was again, it was one of those rare comic book movies that got Oscar gold. So
Yeah.
but yeah, outside of Batman movies, the last true success they had in the theater was Aquaman.
Yeah. And for the most part,
Shazam did okay.
Shazam did okay. Like I said, it did well enough for them to do a sequel. But the big thing with that is, um, you know, the Flash is part of this universe. The Flash has
Yeah.
nothing to do with. It appears that we're at the point where most audiences understand that the Batman is its own thing, that the Joker thing was its own thing. When you're talking about this series of films, that the last five, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman, The Suicide Squad, Black Adam, and Shazam, no one went to go see.
Yeah.
And like, look, The Suicide Squad, give or take whatever you want to say about that film, no one talks about it anymore.
Mm-mm. No, it
It
was
came and went quickly.
it was especially because, well, and again, there's something to also keep in mind is that anything that came out between 2020 and 2022 gets a big old asterisk next to it because we were in the middle of the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say because Wonder Woman 84 had the simultaneous release in theaters and on streaming, and also just wasn't very good. The Suicide Squad was a very good movie. It had the stink of the first Suicide Squad on it, and again, in the middle of the height of the pandemic, theaters weren't selling as many tickets. Because they were restricting how many tickets they were selling. There was a
Yeah.
period of time where if like on my Cinemark mobile app, I couldn't select a seat that was within one seat of another already purchased ticket.
Yeah.
So they were severely limiting, for COVID reasons, how many people could even go to the theater. And also people just weren't as keen to go to the theater because COVID. So
When we showed my wife's movie, Lady Lawman, here locally at the Cinemark, they were just happy people were going to be there, but they still had to go by restrictions. So
yeah,
we could only have 30 people per theater.
yeah,
Bro, we had like 200 people come watch that movie. We took over half that this place.
that's
Like
wild.
3 or 4 theaters that were playing this little nonsense movie. I don't want to say nonsense like bad, but just not a thing. But for them, it was like we were filling up these
Yeah.
theaters. All those people are buying concessions.
And that was at a time where people were starting to go back to being out. But anyway, so all that to mean that, like, DC hasn't had a big win in a while. And other outside of the Batman, they haven't had a huge win since, again, their last two big wins were Aquaman and Joker. The first Shazam turned a decent profit, and was well received. It's just it came out in the middle of like Captain Marvel and Endgame, so it didn't stand a chance. It's ironic that Shazam, part of the reason Shazam didn't do well at theaters was because of Captain Marvel. There's an irony there. The thing with the Flash, though, to bring us all back to the Flash, is people need to remember that this is a movie coming out with a problematic lead. So it's already kind of got one hand tied behind it because a lot of people don't want to go see this movie because they don't want to support Ezra Miller. It'd be the same thing if the similar thing happened with the last Fantastic Beast movie. People were turned off to J.K. Rowling and had a problem with them recasting Johnny Depp amidst all the Amber Heard stuff. So, and it also it might not seem like it's playing into it, but the whole Jonathan Majors situation over in the Marvel camp is also having an influence on this because people are looking at these rumors circulating that they're going to get rid of Jonathan Majors, and they're like, how come when this guy does it, they're like, yeah, no, you out, goodbye. Whereas with Ezra Miller, they're like, oh, you'll be fine. It's okay. We'll let this one slide. Jonathan Majors, all that stuff has been there's a lot of evidence that looks bad for him, but like there's been no trial date or anything like that. Whereas Ezra Miller, like, there is video footage of him doing truly terrible things. And I think people, I think so. I think that's another, that's, you cannot discount that as a reason as to why this movie probably has a lower projection, because they're probably not seeing the pre-sales they want to see, because a lot of people are like, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah.
We kind of don't want to go see him in this movie.
People don't want to support. I don't buy into that camp, but I understand people who do. If you don't want to
Yeah,
support somebody, I'm not going to fault you.
I was on the fence about it. Honestly, if it weren't for the fact that I get, because I'm a Cinemark Club member, so I get freebies. If I
Yeah.
didn't have freebies, we'd probably be reviewing this movie a lot later than we're going to. Because I did the same thing with Dungeons and Dragons, and that was not even nearly the same case. Which was, I was pissed off at Hasbro, so I waited till it was on streaming, and it was one of those. My mom was like, "Hey, let's watch Dungeons and Dragons," and I was like, "Really? All right, mom,
Did
cool."
you like it?
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. It was fantastic. Dungeons and Dragons movie rules.
Yeah.
But that suffice to say, with the Flash, if I didn't have a freebie, I wouldn't be paying to go see it in theaters, because I'm hit or miss when it comes to the whole separating art from the artist thing. When it comes to not seeing a movie because of a problematic actor, as somebody who has made movies with actors who later became problematic, I understand the pulling of both ends of the rope, of like, I'm really proud of this movie and I really want people to see it, but I feel weird putting out a movie that is gonna like support this bad person. But also, as my lawn guy just happens to get here right in the middle of recording this, at the same time, a lot of people worked on my movie who did
Yeah.
excellent work, and I wanted them to be able to show off their work. So, and that was a small $1,000 budget, 7-minute short horror film. This is a multi-million-dollar operation with hundreds of people's work on it, including writers who are currently on strike. So it makes me go, I understand why they still want to put this movie out. You don't want one shitty person's bad actions to overcast the hard work that a lot of people put into it. So, but yeah, I can totally see anybody who says they're not going to see the Flash because they don't want to support Ezra Miller. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I'm not looking at those people like, you're out of your mind. No, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the same camp. I'm getting to go see it for free. So, that's how I'm resolving it. Also, look, you put Michael Keaton as Batman in the movie. You're
Yeah.
killing me.
Here's my thing with the Ezra Miller thing. I've seen that video of that thing with him and that girl. I feel like that is stage beyond staged, but
I
that's
don't know
just
about
me.
that. I haven't seen it.
It just seems stage beyond staged. But on the other side of that is the,
There's too many other videos of other terrible things
no,
happening.
I'm not saying that. My thing is this: either everybody's accountable and you hold everybody at the same accountability level,
Yeah.
or you don't. And the problem is there's no if Disney's getting rid of
Jonathan
Kevin
Majors.
Majors, then Warner Brothers, you should have. And this is where you get into that weird thing of there's no even gauge. And I
Johnny
want
Depp.
to well
To keep it in the Warner Brothers camp.
yeah.
Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. They pulled Johnny Depp out of Fantastic Beasts so fast. And recast. Now, granted, the recast with Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas Amber Heard still an Aquaman too.
Yeah. Even though clearly wrong beyond wrong in this situation.
Yeah, which that try, actually, I was scrolling through Facebook memories today. That conviction came down today, a year ago today. So, like, the double standard, it's now, again, different regime, completely different regime at Warner Brothers DC at the time. But yeah, like you said, like there's got to be consistency. There's got to be a standard here. And there's not one. They treat it all on a case-by-case business, and I case-by-case basis. And I kind of get that. but also fuck Ezra Miller.
Look,
Like,
I
yeah.
think the only thing, and this may go against because I think I saw otherwise. I think that the biggest thing that's probably helping is I don't think he's coming back.
Oh,
Like I
after this, no.
I think I think the director said he would not recast him, but it's not the director's call anymore. It's
Yeah,
James
after
Gunn's call.
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, oh, the director can sit there and say all he wants, like, I'm not going to recast him, which I think says more about the director than anything else. Again, Andy Muschietti, go F yourself. Um, I but if I have any amount of faith in James Gunn, he as much as has come out and said he thinks the Flash is and again, there's a difference between saying the Flash is an excellent movie and I stand by Ezra Miller.
Yes.
Like anytime he's talked about the Flash, James Gunn just says it's a really good movie. And it looks really good.
Yeah.
He's not coming out in defense of Ezra Miller. You know, again, all of those decisions were made before he came on board.
Yeah.
So to the point you made, there's no way Ezra Miller is, because it's going to be a long time before they do another Flash movie. Long time. But with as much trouble as this movie has caused them, they're not going to, unless it makes over $1 billion. They're not touching the Flash again for a long time. And I don't see that happening because of all the bullshit surrounding this movie.
Yeah. Well, and the thing of it is ultimately they need to win. And if they feel this movie is really, really good and this is going to be their win, their first really huge win in a long time, like, cool. Because I think you said on the phone the other day, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 proved there is no superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
It's just that these movies are not good.
Just got to put out a good movie.
Yeah, which I still don't understand the Ant-Man thing, but that's just let's not
no,
revisit
I
that.
don't either. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania should have made a lot more money than it did. Speaking of movies that should have made a lot more money than they did, so Matt finally saw Shazam: Fury of the Gods on HBO Max. That's the only name that app ever needs to go by. I'll ask you, Flat, because I talked about it when it came out, and I just said, like, I really enjoyed the movie. I really liked the movie. I think the movie's a lot of fun. I think it felt like a what if they did a Brave and the Bold but for Shazam and made it into a movie. It was fun. Which is what Shazam needs to be. Matt, what did you think of it?
It was fine. My wife and I both kind of said that was fun.
Yeah,
I didn't need to see it in the theater. I was not bothered that we watched it at home.
Yeah.
I think if you watch the honest trailer for Shazam 2, it is everything I have a problem with.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I'll have to watch that. I haven't seen that yet.
But okay, then I won't spoil anything until you watch it.
That's
but
fine.
It's like I don't know how to. It's just not right. The first one wasn't right.
Something's off.
Something's off, and I don't know if. And it's. I think this is where it's, to me, Shazam is similar to Dick Grayson Robin.
Okay.
It only works if the kid is young and Shazam is old.
Okay.
And to me, it only works that way. And I think getting dude, you had to cast a teenager for the first one. It's been 5 years, and now you have this one. Dude, the guy who plays Billy Batson looks like he's, a linebacker in college almost. Like, I'm like, that is not a teenager. I'm sorry. You could tell me
they had the problem with what's her name? Rachel
Mary.
Ziegler, or not Rachel Ziegler. She Grace Curry, who plays Mary, is because they had two different actors playing her in the first one, because they had young and then older, but now they're like, yeah, no, she's an adult, so it's just going to be the same actress for both.
Yeah,
I don't know how nobody recognizes her, but we just change your hair and makeup a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say as far as things about the movie that bugged me a little bit. I wanted more of them as the kids. Like when they're in the Shazam lair, the cave or whatever, and they're sitting around having the conversations and all that. I think that whole scene should have been them as kids.
Yes.
because there's two stories kind of happening with with Shazam, with Billy in this movie, and it's the main plot. And there's also that thing where he's afraid of aging out of the foster care system and thinking that they're just going to get rid of him. I kind of wish that had been the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's a more the stuff with the Greek gods and all that is it's cool. Don't get me wrong.
Is it?
Um, it's cool on paper. Um, I don't think it needed to be tied to Freddy like that because I don't know. Ultimately, I had a lot of fun. I laughed when I was supposed to laugh.
Yes.
All the jokes land. All the jokes land like like an arrow hitting a bullseye. This movie is nothing if not like precision comedy. It is very good. Um, can we talk about that absolute waste of a Wonder Woman cameo though?
Oh, that was pathetic in so many different
It was
ways.
so bad,
I don't know
so bad.
why.
The one in the dream is fantastic. The one in the dream with Jaimin Hansu, where you don't see her and then he turns around and it's
Yeah.
Jaimin Hansu's face, excellent. 10 out of 10, no notes. Having her just show up out of nowhere at the end to be the thing that fixes everything is so bad.
No, it makes little to it. I don't know why she's there because if they had her the whole time, she would have been in the dream sequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a pickup, a rewrite, or whatever. No, I thought that was ridiculous. The other thing, I have to, because it's the
Okay.
biggest problem. Like Billy Batson, the guy who plays Billy Batson, and Zachary Levi playing Shazam, they're not playing the same damn character
No,
in
they're
any
not.
way, shape, or
They're
form.
absolutely not.
And it's even worse in this one. And it sucks because Zachary Levi does an amazing job doing this adult caught in a kid's body, but
Yeah.
then the kid should have been 12.
Yeah.
The way he's acting, the kid
Of
should
the
Billy Batman's too old.
of the two of them, Zachary Levi is more on point than Asher Angel, who's playing young Billy. Young Billy.
Yeah.
Zachary Levi has got is I think I don't know if it's a way they were written problem or the way they're acting. I can't really figure out which one it is, but I buy Zachary Levi Shazam based on what I know of Shazam a lot more than I buy Asher Angel as Billy Batson.
Correct. And I feel like it's almost to the point where like, are there two different writers? Are one writer writing Billy Batson stuff and one writer's writing Shazam stuff, and they're for some reason never talking to each other because
There are
the
two writers.
characters just don't match. And that's my
Yeah.
biggest problem with the first one. And it's even more of a problem with this one because, like I said, the fact that Billy Batson looks like he's 26 is just like so weird. But that's what happens when you cast a teenager in a movie that
Well, yeah,
isn't you're like if you're lucky, you get a Tom Holland who
yeah,
doesn't age for 15 years and he could be,
yeah.
college Spider-Man, teenage Spider-Man forever. But you just
Well,
don't
and
have
the
that for
weird
this
part
guy.
is Asher Angel is only 20 years old. He's playing an 18-year-old, so it's not that far removed. He just grew the hell up.
Yes.
Like
Which
like the kid in Stranger Things who plays crap. The basketball player one in season 4.
yes. The
Um
Terry McGinnis.
your pick for Terry McGinnis.
Yes.
He grew the hell up between seasons 3 and 4.
So now you see why I picked him.
No, not really. But
Oh, shut up.
he grew like a foot and a half between those two seasons.
He turned
Um,
from a kid to like a pseudo man
yeah,
between season 3 and
and his
4.
voice dropped 15 octaves.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened here. Is like the kid playing him is about the right age for the story, but he's not. But when you take into account the fact that they have Grace Curry playing both versions of Mary, and her age isn't much different from Billy's, it doesn't quite totally make sense.
Yes.
Um, Ultimately, what this boils down to is that Zachary Levi is a great Shazam. And I don't like to rag on young actors too much, but the kid's 20, so I don't care anymore. He's an adult. I just think it's the wrong pick for the kid to play Billy. It needed a
Yes.
different. He needed to be younger. I don't want to see 18-year-old, because then again it goes into the question of, well, why is she staying the same if she's already an adult versus, I don't know.
Yeah. Some of the and then the only other thing that I had the big problem with is I have zero understanding why Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu are in this movie.
Other than just they're there to be these, you know,
To be names. Like
to be these people, to be these gods and goddesses or whatever,
yeah,
these demigods.
it literally like to me, I just went and I said, look, Helen Mirren is an amazing actress. There's bar none, very
Her
few above
her
her.
and Lucy Liu were both very good in the movie.
Yes.
Like
It just makes
the problem wasn't them.
yeah, it's not that they're bad. They're not bad in their performance per se, but
No.
there's to me, I go like, I don't understand why they're not all the same age. And you didn't just cast Joe Nobodies to be these parts. They're not big parts. They're not intense acting things. You know, you're
Yeah.
not talking about Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men where you need a power performance. Like Lucy Liu spends most of her time on screen riding around on a CGI dragon. Like we're not looking for top talent here. And that was what just I just kept the whole movie going like, I don't understand why she did this.
Mm.
Like, I don't understand why Helen Mirren's in this film in any way, shape, or form. You know, it makes a little more sense on why she's in Fast and Furious, but you know, whatever. Everybody needs a paycheck. But I just kind of was like, that. I just like this makes, like, and I know they hung a lampshade on it and tried like, I don't understand why you guys are so vastly ages, blah blah. But
Yeah.
it's just like, you're just trying to write yourself. That was my only like,
Because
dra-
Helen Mirren is having a blast in this movie.
yes,
I was really worried. I was like, is she going to come into this and half-ass it? Because like, not that Helen Mirren ever has half-asses anything, but is she going to feel like this is beneath her? No, she's having fun.
no, she
Helen
was
Mirren's
in it.
having fun
Yeah,
in this movie.
they're both in it, but it just
Yeah.
doesn't. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. You should have cast them all mid 20s
Well,
and just gone with that thing because it doesn't even explain why they're so vastly different in ages.
and here's the and I know it sounds like I don't like this movie. I really like this movie. I had a lot of fun with this movie. Here's the biggest problem I think is that it draw all that this the issue with the villains and all that. All this really does is draw even more attention onto the glaring problem with the Shazam trilogy, because I'm including Black Adam in this,
Because
and
it should, yeah,
that is Black Adam.
yeah,
That this is the third movie in this little pocket story arc, and these two still haven't crossed. Not even in the post credit scene.
yeah,
Nothing. So I don't. It just draws more attention to the fact that we don't have Black Adam and Shazam interacting with one another, and they should have by now. He should have been the
yes,
villain for Shazam too. I'm sorry, he just should have. It should have gone Shazam 1 does what it needs to do and sets up something for Black Adam, and then Black Adam comes out and that goes into Shazam 2 where they finally fight.
yeah,
It should have been in this movie. It didn't need to be something else, because they clearly weren't setting up for them to fight in Shazam 3 that's never happening. It's not like
correct,
the post-credit scene set up for the final showdown between these two in the sequel that's never going to happen. It
yeah,
was, hey, it was Harcourt and Economos showing up saying, hey, we want you to join the Justice Society, and he's like, and then they back off, and then the weird post scene with Mr. Mind that I don't understand why they're choosing to die on the Mr. Mind hill, but
did I leave before? Maybe I stopped the
there
movie
was
before that
there was a
happened.
second
Okay,
post-credit scene,
with
which
Mr.
is,
Mind again.
yeah, and it's a waste of a post-credit scene. It's simply just he comes back and he's like, okay, I'm ready for the next part of my plan, and he's like, and what's his name, Savannah from the first one is like, I've been waiting for years, and he's like, well, I'm small, it takes me a long time to move, and he's like, hang on, I gotta go something else, and he's like, I'll be back in a few more years, and I'm like, this is dumb, this is really dumb. I waited in the theater for this, really, really, really. What, like the fact that there has been no, like they have spent absolutely zero time across three movies setting up any kind of confrontation between Shazam and Black Adam,
Yeah.
and that's a
No.
big misfire. And
Oh,
I also think the fact that Black Adam sucked eggs is part of the reason why this movie didn't do well at the box office.
oh, it's completely. This movie didn't get any word of mouth, and then you look. I I kind of like Zachary Levi, but him getting on Instagram
That was sad.
was like, you should have just said, "Please go see my movie. Please go see my movie. I don't want to lose my job. Please go see my movie." That would have been much more. Um, what is that called? Oh gosh, you would have kept some monocle of respect
Some
from me.
integrity, yeah,
There you go. Just anything besides like whining about
yeah,
how The Rock screwed you.
yeah. That was rough. That was not a good look.
And I
But
feel bad for the dude. Like,
I do too.
but
This movie did not deserve to bomb like it did.
no, I don't think so.
Like people are like, oh, well, see, that means the movie. Like I had friends tell me, oh, it didn't make any money. That means it's bad. No, this movie, like, I don't think this was not the greatest superhero movie I've ever seen by any stretch of the imagination. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a fun time at the theater. It did not deserve to absolutely just bomb like it did at the
Yeah.
theater. I was trying to think of a metaphor and I couldn't think of anything.
Well,
Uh,
and this is yeah, this is where like again, this is the film that leads into the Flash. Totally understand why nobody wants to go see the Flash. You've got
yeah.
too many uphill battles with this movie, and I'm like, I'm gonna go see it. I stupidly looked up the spoiler you were talking about, and if that's
Why?
true, because I don't,
I went out of my way to not spoil it.
I know, but that's why I didn't say what it was. And if
Yeah.
if that's actually real, maybe I don't want to go see this movie.
Well, I think it's just meant to be a fun cameo. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
get. I don't want to get into it, but anyway, we'll talk about that off the mic. But anyway, as far as Shazam: Fury of the Gods goes, like it just shows that the old, because this is still very much a product of the old guard at DC,
Yes.
and it's, if anything, if you want a testament to how much the old guard did not have a plan for their DC films, look at the Shazam trilogy.
Yeah.
There is no greater indication of how much they were making it up as they went than the fact that we had three Shazam movies, two Shazam movies and a Black Adam movie, and at no point is there any indication, like the most interaction these characters have with each other is in the first Shazam movie when Billy Batson's first learning about the Shazam champions, and we see this little light hologram of a figure that's, I guess, is supposed to be Black Adam, but you don't actually see its face.
Yeah.
So, like, that's it.
See, and this is the thing that I look at with this is like, I would have loved to seen Zachary Levi interacting with Henry Cavill's Superman,
Yeah,
um, Aquaman, like those, Batman, those guys, and just seeing them do the like, what is going on with this guy?
yeah.
So yeah, it's unfortunate that, like, look, I'm surprised they haven't announced it, but I think we all know he's done. I'll be very surprised
Zach Levi.
that Zachary Levi does not continue as Shazam. Like, I would be
Yeah,
surprised if he does. It sucks because I think he's really good and I would love to see him continue. But yeah,
yeah.
that runs over, and it's unfortunate.
It is. It's an absolute bummer. It, again, like, not the best movie I've ever seen, but it's just, it's a lot of fun. The stuff with the sentient quill, the sentient pen,
Yes.
writing the letter. I laughed so hard when
Yeah.
Helen Mirren is reading that letter, and it's so full of all their side conversations. I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
And also I love that Jaimin Hansu A was back, and B pops up at the end
Looking like
dressed
Doctor
dressed
Midnight,
dressed like Papa Midnight from
Papa Midnight.
Constantine, who he played, and I was like, yeah, I know that suit. That's not who you're gonna become, but nice Easter egg. I really appreciate that. That's fantastic. I really like that. Yeah. If there's one thing I can say about this movie is, man, is it funny. and it's
Yeah.
supposed to be. It's meant to be funny. The fact that we use Skittles to get the unicorns was Megan Good understood the assignment.
Yeah.
Megan Good understood I'm playing a 6-year-old.
Yeah. I had fun watching it. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again.
Yeah.
And I completely can see why, like, all right, cool. That was good job, Zach. But we don't
Yeah.
need you back anymore, which sucks.
Yeah. It's a bummer. I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
I really do. I like him a lot in this movie. He was one of those castings when they announced Zachary Levi was playing Shazam. I think pretty much everybody around the world was like, "Yeah, no, that tracks. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah." Usually it's people going, "Really?" For his Zachary Levi, it was just, "Yeah, yeah, I'm on board with that. That works." So there you have it, guys. I think we're all caught up. We're all caught up. I'm sure as soon as we post this episode, some other new piece of news is going to drop, and we'll look like idiots. And I'm going out of town again this weekend, so won't be able to fix it. But we'll talk about it again next week.
Sounds perfect.
So hey, listen, real quick, just to tidy up some things here on the back end. Don't forget, we are doing last Friday of every month. We're doing a breakdown of the live action Batman movies in release order. We just did Batman 1989 last week, so go check that out if you haven't yet. The end of this month, we'll be doing Batman Returns, which will coincide with the fact that the week before that, we'll be reviewing The Flash, and which works because it's Michael Keaton's last appearance as Batman with his return as Batman in The Flash. So that's coming. And as always, make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. We are on Twitter at We Are the Batman, and you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me on Twitter at Mr. J Ninja.
That will do it for this episode of We Are the Batman. We'll see you guys again next time. Same bat time, same bat podcast channel.
Bye-bye.